All right. Thanks everybody for joining this panel today. We have with us a group of students who are currently attending the School of Management at Binghamton University. So we have some prepared questions for them that we'll kind of go through. But we do encourage all of our students, if you have any questions at the end of the panel, if you wanted to throw them in the chat or unmute yourself, definitely do so. Because this is a great opportunity to learn more about what you can be doing as a high school student to get ready for pursuing a degree at the School of Management or in any business related field in general. So our first question will kind of give everybody on the panel the opportunity to introduce themselves and kind of talk more about your class year and your college major and minor. And we can go in the order that everybody's pinned if that works for everyone.
I'm not sure if I'm pinned first, but I'll just go first. Hi everyone, really nice to see all of you. My name is James Russo. I'm a senior at Binghamton School of Management and I'm majoring in finance.
Hey everyone, I'm Scott. I am currently a junior in the School of Management and I am majoring in accounting with a minor in Spanish.
Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Hi guys, my name is Kathleen Carney. I'm a senior here at the School of Management. I'm studying finance.
Great, thanks everybody for introducing yourselves. So kind of get us thinking about, starting that college search. What factors were important to you in your own college search?
I can start this one. For me, when I was looking for a school, I knew that I wanted to major in business and do something related to finance. And since I'm from Long Island, I kind of wanted to be in New York after graduation, and Binghamton was the best New York SUNY school for business and just great value overall. And my sister also went here, so I'd only ever heard really great things about Binghamton. So that's kind of what helped me decide where I wanted to go to school.
Yeah, sure. I'll just jump in here. I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to get out of college besides a good education. So, one thing obviously that was really important to me was how much money I was paying, because my family wasn't necessarily able to just, send me to any college in the United States. So the SUNY schools were a lot more affordable for me as a New York, as someone from New York. And then I also just wanted a place where, people were really excited to learn and also hung around the campus environment and were just excited about the school. And I've always felt like people loved Binghamton, and they, I'd heard really good things about it from when I was in high school, that people, didn't go home on the weekends. They would always hang out and, make a lot of friends. And that was important for me. So definitely liked the campus life of Binghamton, and the business school was a really good place for me to come and be excited to learn.
I guess I can just jump on and say one last thing. I would like to echo everything everyone else said, especially what Kiki said about having a sister that had gone here, because my sister did as well. And having visited her and seeing and meeting people, I felt like I could really fit in here. And I feel like that may be the case at a lot of universities, just because there's so many different people at all different places. But for me personally, the people that I met, I felt like I really connected with them, and that kind of drove me to go here.
Yeah, I think your answers really demonstrate well, that personal connection can be important, but then also really thinking about what values in a school that are important to you and how you can really pursue different majors at that particular school. So kind of now that you are all kind of gone through your classes at the School of Management, what has been your favorite class? And can you talk to us a little bit more about why?
I would probably say my favorite class is CQS 111. For those that don't know, that's an Excel course, learning Microsoft Excel. It's a class that all freshmen take their first semester typically. And why I really liked it was because not only did we learn a lot of, functions and how to use just everything in Excel in general, but this class didn't only apply to the class itself, it applies to, I'm sure, James and Kiki for finance, just because, you can add a lot of numbers and make spreadsheets and tables and whatnot. And I feel like this is a very valuable tool for the business world as well. So it's not just you take this class, you learn, and then you're done. It's knowledge that you can apply in the future too.
I think one of my favorite classes was investments. I took it with this one professor, Daniel McKeever, and he was just like such a great guy. It was like a very difficult class, but it was like one of the first finance classes that I took here, and I felt really challenged, but I like actually wanted to learn. I enjoyed going to his classes, even though they were at 8:30. And he just like made me really excited, and everything that he taught was very like applicable to real life, and you kind of understood like how this would come into play in your career or in like a day-to-day job. So I thought he was just like a really great professor overall.
I took that class too, but 8:30 in the morning is pretty tough for me. So I don't know if that's one of my favorites. Two classes that I really liked at Binghamton. One of them was one that I know Kiki also took, where basically you get to partner with a real company on Wall Street and essentially work as an intern for them and do real stock research for them, and do whatever other work they think is valuable for you to do. And then at the end of it, you get to pitch a stock to some pretty important people at that company. So I thought that was really cool how SOM lets you have, the school management lets you have like a real world experience. And then a second class that I got to take that was really cool, I just figured I'd throw this one in there too because it's probably a tie for me, is Management 411, which is basically you get split up into teams, and everyone essentially gets to run a company within a simulation. So you make a bunch of decisions for your company, and then over the course of the rest of the semester, you get to see how those decisions play out. Are you profitable, or how you basically stack up against the competition. And both of these classes taught me a lot about working in a team. One with the first class with working with an actual team on a job on Wall Street, and then the second one taught me to work within a team to make decisions together, to critically think. So I thought that both of them really taught me a lot about problem solving and critical thinking, which I thought was pretty unique in my experiences at Binghamton, and I think that is pretty different from other colleges.
I can take a shot at this question too. So I'd say that my favorite class at Binghamton has been SCM 360. So this was a class that I took pretty much during the pandemic virtually, but the professor did a really good job of teaching it. And we were using a program called Solver within Excel. And pretty much she would map out like real world applications of companies looking to maybe meet a certain quota of sales or profit or something like that. And you kind of had to figure out decisions they had to make based on numbers, based on inputs and outputs. And it was such a unique class that I was able to kind of take the information I used and apply it to my sister runs a clothing business. So I was able to take what I learned and kind of apply it to that, creating a massive spreadsheet for her to use for her own business. So it was a really interesting class. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I love how all of you really drew out that these classes gave you the opportunity to apply them to real life scenarios, or that was even part of the class. I think sometimes in high school, we may not be thinking that you'll be able to have that experience in a college class around, business or anything like that. Shout out to that professor that Kiki liked, that got her excited for 8:30 classes. I know that is not a common experience at Binghamton. So you kind of are touching on this a little bit, right? There are more benefits to being in a program outside of just the classes. So can you talk about some of the benefits of being an SOM student?
I go ahead. I think, and I'm sure everyone else on the panel can agree, any friend I have at Binghamton that's not an SOM is constantly like, you guys have so many resources. You guys have like everything. Like, everyone helping you out. Like, how do you guys have everything always figured out? I think that is kind of attributed to like our career services and advising offices. The dean and everyone a part of that are very committed to helping Binghamton students like figure out, at least within SOM, figure out like what they want to do with their careers, kind of encouraging that spirit. And I think that it's very clear on campus that SOM students really like have an abundance of resources, and you could be very confused your first year. And I'd say by the end of that first year, you like start to really like get a handle on what you want to do. And it's because of, everything that's offered here.
Just jumping off what Kiki said, an extraordinary benefit that you have in SOM, recruiters will actually come to Binghamton and, try to speak with you at like numerous events like throughout the year. And they're very eager and excited to not only talk with you and see if they connect with you on a personal level, but they have essentially oh wow, it just got dark in this room. They have jobs, lined up for people from Binghamton because they know that they're smart and hardworking. So, I'd say that's a pretty exclusive benefit for people in SOM.
Honestly, I don't really have too much to add. Kiki and James kind of hit the nail on the head. We do have an abundance of resources. We have our own advising office. We have our own career services. And one benefit that I really, really liked as a freshman was that our freshman year, we got to take part in a program that is run by upperclassmen. So we get a mentor that, runs through a bunch of programs that SOM offers, kind of whatever's the bread and butter of SOM as a whole, like using Excel, making use of the resources that we do have, like career services, being that they, check over our resumes for us, they're willing to do mock interviews and such. And, getting that personal connection with that mentor my freshman year definitely helped me out a lot. And I wouldn't be where I am right now without her.
Yeah, I can add one more thing to this too. So other than like, the vast array of opportunities that you have with internships and jobs and this and that, one thing that I love particularly about SOM is that the student body, like the students you take the classes with, are very much so, there to help you. Like it's not a cutthroat, only one person is able to make it super competitive school. Like, yes, it's competitive to get a job offer and to get internships, but the person next to you wants to see you succeed as well. And I don't think that it's like that at every single business school. So that's something unique about Binghamton that I really like.
Yeah, I will definitely echo the sentiment. The talk about SOM students and the resources they have is something that comes up a lot on campus. And I know that the Career Center is a really vital resource in that valuing of networking. So we have students on the call who are really interested in SOM, particularly at Binghamton University. So I just wanted to give a chance as sort of like a follow-up to this question. Is there one resource in particular or a faculty member in particular that you think that a student should definitely utilize or connect to upon entering SOM?
So I can just start off with this. A resource that you should definitely use and definitely do once you get to SOM. There's a lot of different areas in business. You could go into marketing, you go into finance, you can go into accounting, you can go into like a plethora of things. But regardless of what you're going into, there will be a club on campus, or you can make it yourself, where there is willing people to help you learn and that are volunteering their time to try and see you succeed. So on campus, for example, something that I was involved in is the Finance Society, where upperclassmen will volunteer their time to teach you about finance and Wall Street and stocks and all these crazy things that are really hard to understand, coming out of high school. So I would just recommend once you come to campus, getting involved with these clubs and meeting up with these upperclassmen that are volunteering. They're not getting paid, they're not getting any benefits. They're just trying to help you learn. So I would say reach out to people, like-minded students on campus especially older ones that are more experienced and are happy and excited to see you learn and succeed. Because regardless of what vertical and business you go into, there are people here at Binghamton that want to help you.
Yeah, I'll just echo James's point. I think that my biggest resource were just like upperclassmen or even people just a year older, because it makes like the scary part of college a lot less scary. And it's just like someone like kind of guiding you. And I think that, like he was saying, SOM definitely has tons of students who are like overly eager, if not like more than excited to help you out, like at every like turning corner.
I would just echo again everything they had to say. It's not so much the faculty that you necessarily get a connection to. That kind of happens over time through your involvement. So what James said, getting involved, I think that's one of the biggest tips. Get involved, because without doing so, you're not going to meet so many people. You're not going to get all these great connections, and getting involved really just pushes you a lot more forward than it would had you not.
Yeah, certainly. A lot of people will say, it's not who you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that's definitely it. It all comes down to kind of who you network, and Binghamton provides that opportunity to build your network. One other resource I would say is huge is the weekly newsletter that SOM sends out that has every event that's going on that given week for SOM, or just opportunities that you can apply for at the very bottom of the email. And that's a great way for you to find like new opportunities that relate to whatever your passion is.
Yeah, and kind of building off the networking piece, say a student, goes into SOM and they're pretty intimidated or kind of unsure about how to have a successful relationship with faculty members. Are there any tips that you kind of, gained while you were attending the school?
I feel like with faculty, the first step is kind of, if it's a class you're struggling in, go to their office hours. They'll be happy to see your face. They'll be happy to help you out. But even if it's a class that you're not struggling in, just going up to the professor after a lecture and saying like, "Hi, my name is so-and-so, really excited to take your class this semester," and just kind of have those every now and again interactions with them, because a lot of times these classes could be like very large, could be like 100+ students in the class. So even just having that first introduction kind of sets you aside from the rest of the students in the class. So even though you may feel like you don't really have that close relationship, you're one of the few faces and names that the professor kind of has tied together. And I think that's a good first step.
Taking this question from a bit of a different perspective, I kind of took it as employment, or maybe job opportunities. So what I thought of initially was going to the career services, because there are 4 professionals that are more than willing to help you out. I believe it's Olivia, Whitney, Matt, and Joe. They're all there all the time. You can schedule an appointment online, and they're always more than happy to talk to freshmen, sophomores, whoever you may be, and to help you out and just allow you to get acclimated and hopefully get a job.
I can add on, one last thing to this. Not even just limited to college faculty. I would say, relationships with, upperclassmen that might want to help you out, college faculty, or even like anyone, in life, is if you kind of demonstrate to them that you're interested in learning, and, you be respectful, and that you're just curious intellectually, that can be something that really differentiates you. I'm a very, very slow learner. It took me a very long time to learn a lot of the things that, are important for finance and for those types of jobs. But as long as you sort of stick around and show people your face, that you're eager, you're happy and excited to learn, Binghamton is a really great environment that will sort of help you along the way, as long as you're willing to put in the effort.
Yeah, I don't have much to add. I love James's point. Like, people love people that they can teach things to and who are willing to learn. So if you're eager to learn, like, Binghamton's the place for you.
Yeah, and I will say, just for context, so Binghamton University has their own career center, the Fleischman Center. And then on top of that, right, SOM students have their own career center. So that's what makes it even more, kind of special of being a part of the program, right, is not many students can say that they have their own career center as well. So in thinking about what high school students that are interested in SOM can do while they're in high school to prepare, do you have any thoughts, things that you wish people would have said to you when you were in high school?
I would just say stay on top of everything. You know, college is it's a bit of a whirlwind right when you step in. There are a lot of things being thrown into your face. You got professors sending you emails about classes beginning. You have hundreds of clubs sending you emails about general interest meetings. So if you're interested in any of that, what I'd definitely recommend is putting everything on a calendar, whether it be Google Calendar or Microsoft Outlook. Just keep yourself organized, because life is a lot easier when you know what you have to do when you have to do it.
Yeah, I feel like in terms of like while you're in high school, biggest things to focus on, obviously the obvious points, just getting your grades up, staying involved in whatever school involvements you may have. Those are things that make you look good on a application, but they also kind of are, like Scott was talking about, like you're just practicing those skills that are going to be super important when you're in college. So those are just some things to keep in mind.
One thing that I would add that I think might be like a little untraditional is, like I said, I'm kind of a slow learner. But if I had to go back and start preparing in high school, I would just even say, practice talking with people, practice, trying to introduce yourself to new people, become more comfortable in environments that you might not necessarily, have often. Have an open mind, be willing to try new things. When I was coming into college, I had absolutely no idea what sort of career I wanted to do. I just thought the business was interesting and I wanted to learn more about it. I started pretty much looking into all of this stuff, getting involved my sophomore year. So, I started pretty late, but Binghamton's the type of place that can kind of help, catch you up. And I would just say, keep an open mind, be curious. If you're interested in business, maybe even just Google search some careers in business, talk with some people. If you have like an uncle that works in business or an aunt, talk with them. Like, what do they enjoy about their job? Just something to think about, because kind of like having that curiosity, like I keep hammering on about, is important when you get to college.
Yeah, one other thing that I would add is it's super valuable to have a diverse group of experiences coming into college, because it would help once you start like forming a resume and things like that. So I would say try to get like some leadership experience under your belt, some professional work experience under your belt, maybe some volunteer experience, and just kind of things like that. So you're pretty well rounded.
Yeah.
The last.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the last thing, I think that's really great advice from Frank. The last thing that I'll just say about that is it's never too late to start. Like, I didn't necessarily have all those experiences when I was in high school, when I probably should have, but it's never too late to get started. I know people that are at Binghamton, some of the smartest people that I've ever met, and not even just at Binghamton, but in my life, that started like looking at all of this stuff junior year. And there's opportunities that arise for them because they're willing to put in the work and try hard and meet people. But leading up to the next question, it becomes a lot easier to do these things when you start early. And I'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah. And I think all of that is extremely valuable. And sort of, I know that academically, right, there's certain skill sets that are important to have in SOM. Are there classes where, and you don't have to have, if you're like, no, I can't think of any, that's perfectly understandable. But are there certain classes where looking back, you're like, in high school, I kind of wish I would have taken these things because it would have helped me more with my classes now in college?
I'll start off by saying I think taking, like, my high school didn't offer economics. I think that would have been good to take just because you can knock it out of the way because those are required classes. I also wish I had already taken statistics before coming into college, because I feel like came into play a lot of the time. And I did kind of struggle in statistics when I took it through Binghamton. So there's those certain like business applied classes that if your school offers it, like great, definitely take advantage of that. But those are things that I wish I had taken.
I totally agree. I wish I had taken stats back in high school too. Stats in high school is probably a lot easier than it is in college. So I guess I'm kind of thankful that, it actually went online while I was taking it and made it a lot easier than it would have. But that aside, and not even in the business realm, something that I really feel like I could have benefited from taking in high school would be a public speaking course. Binghamton High School or whatever surrounding cities or towns you guys are from offer it. Definitely recommend taking it. It's something that I've never been good at. And my freshman and sophomore year having to have presented in front of classes and whether it's 20 to 100 people would have been a lot more helpful to have had that confidence going up. So I'm happy that I have more of that now than I did. And I definitely wish that I did have the opportunity to take a class like that.
Yeah, I'll just add something in. One of the things I wish I did in high school a little bit differently was take more AP classes, because that would knock a lot of credits out of the way that I had to take in college that didn't necessarily pertain to what I wanted to be studying in business, but maybe more of like a history class or something like that. So I'd say if you have the opportunity and you're not too swamped with work, try to, take maybe one extra AP class or something like that.
Nice. So kind of looking back, what would you say, and this can extend outside of the School of Management, what's a mistake that you made at Binghamton and what did you learn from it?
All right, I'll take this one first. So just like I said before, it's never too late to start, but getting started earlier and whatever you want to do, I would say clubs, extracurricularly, where you can meet those upperclassmen or, other things, or even going up to faculty in a particular, part of business, like your accounting teacher, your marketing teacher that you're interested in. I would say that it's never too early to do that. And one mistake that I did was not doing that as soon as I could have. And as soon as I could have, I mean, like freshman year, like the first week that I got here, when there was plenty of business clubs that had general interest meetings that I could have went to. And, I just didn't because I was busy doing other things. The second thing is, I would say surrounding myself with people my freshman year that didn't align with the goals that I had for myself. I think it's important for people to, if you, are interested in being successful in business, maybe try and make some friends in the business school, or, maybe try and surround yourself with people that are pushing themselves to be better people, or, study harder, or whatever goal you want to accomplish. Being in a good environment for that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, to kind of like, I agree with James's point, and then to kind of contrast that, I think a mistake I made was at my freshman year. I think it was good because it set me up for success. I feel like I was a little bit too hard on myself, or pushing myself a little too hard, where I was stressing out all the time, and I felt like I didn't get to really enjoy like my free time because I just constantly was like worrying about getting involved and wanting to be like successful and like making the next step. Those are all really important things to keep in mind, but you also need to find time to ground yourself and kind of realize like it's okay if my goals don't go the way I want. What's important is that you're happy. And I think that sometimes a lot of people can get caught up in that. So it's important to also like let yourself be a human too.
Best goal is to be happy. Agreed.
I guess one thing that I could say would probably be that my freshman year, first semester, I decided to take a 300 level German course. Definitely do not take a course like that. It had to do with me being stubborn and not wanting to take political science, which was a just regular gen ed, but I stubbornly went and I was like, oh, this has an open seat. The teacher has good reviews. Why not throw myself into this? And, in the end, it was, there's a saying, 100 bad days make 100 good stories. And that's kind of how I roll with it at this point. So don't be like me. Don't take a 300 level course your first semester. Definitely would not recommend that.
Scott, I have to ask, do you have any German experience? Like what?
No, so what the class was, I didn't have to be fluent in German, but it had to do with the art and cinema of the time period in between World War I and World War II. It probably would help to have spoken German. It wasn't a prerequisite. And bottom line, I'm happy I made it through.
Yeah, I'll just add one thing in there. I think that, well, I kind of wish I would have taken maybe a couple more classes that didn't pertain to my major, maybe my freshman or sophomore year, that were just kind of like fun, interesting classes. And fortunately, I do have one more semester next year that I'll be able to do something like this, maybe take like a music class. But I would just say, don't be afraid to take a class or two that pertain to your passion outside of your studies, because it's something that could break up your day a little bit, and you'll be able to learn something new and meet people with similar interests, and you might just meet your best friend in a class like that.
I would add on to that. Again, like a contrasting point of view. So like I said, kind of a slow learner. One thing that I wanted to learn about like a little bit more in college was computer science at one point. So, I was like, oh, I have the time in my schedule this semester. Why don't I take a computer science class? And absolutely didn't need it for my major and just got destroyed in it. My grades suffered a little bit. It was a lot of work. I would just say, make sure you understand what the commitment for work is for like a class that you're adding on to yourself, and make sure that you're okay and willing to kind of, maybe put in that extra effort to get a good grade that you want. Because my GPA definitely has a stain on it from that class. And, I think I'm all for exploring like other opportunities and how to like make yourself more well-rounded or follow a passion. But, I could have learned a lot of that stuff about computer science online for free, or I could have, maybe learned it from a club instead of having my grades suffer. So I would also just say, plan out your classes as much as you can. It won't be perfect and the roadmap will change a lot. I mean, it definitely has for me. I don't know about everyone else on this call, but, I had a general idea of what classes I want to take every semester. And because I took some classes in high school that were similar to APs, I didn't have to take as many classes in college. And now, as a senior, I might not have as strenuous of a course load, which has definitely been nice.
Yeah, I love the diversity between perspectives. It really shows you everyone kind of has their own unique experience for sure. You guys kind of did touch on this when you were talking about mistakes you made. I heard like first year coming up a lot, but just are there any observations that you've made or conversations you've had with friends where you've kind of seen some of the top reasons that first year students are not successful in SOM that you kind of wanted to share with students today?
Yeah, a lot of my friends that I made freshman year, I'm like still really good friends with, but kind of took different routes in terms of how to approach school and like careers and whatnot. They're within SOM too. I don't know if I said that. And they kind of always would like poke fun at me for being super involved or going to clubs, or like I'd ask them to come with me and they wouldn't want to go. And now talking to them senior year, they're kind of like, I wish I had, you don't even have to get super involved, but they'd wish that they had kind of gone to clubs. You don't even have to stick with them, but kind of talk to people and kind of like they're seniors and still don't really know what they want to do. And they wish they put in the time earlier of not even being involved, but kind of doing the work, like figuring out what you want to do, not even necessarily making the moves towards that, but just like, what is it that I want to do? So I guess, taking that part of it a little bit more, weight.
You can go, Scott. You're good.
Sorry. So I was going to say I guess one of the biggest reasons why someone might not succeed, I kind of echoed this before, but it's all about organization and all about time management. You guys got a lot of things getting put on your plate, especially freshman year, and that increases your sophomore, junior, senior year, but you're more apt to cope with it just because you've done it your freshman year. Having mentees that are freshmen right now, being a mentor, it's kind of easy to tell that half of them are very on top of their stuff. They come, they participate, they hand in the deliverable on time, while others don't. And it really speaks volumes, and it kind of shows how successful you're going to be in your future years. Despite the fact that, James really did talk about how it's never too late to start, they can definitely turn it around. But when you don't always start off on the right foot, it's a little bit harder to take that step forward. So be organized and manage your time wisely.
One thing that I would say, this is also a little non-traditional. I think success is like defined like very differently by different people. One way to say it is like, being happy. But if we're talking from being successful as like a business professional, I think one thing that's really important in like pretty much any industry is, public speaking, being able to talk to people, be able to, be friendly and basically just communicate with other students, friends, people. Being a good public speaker, being like a good communicator is good in any industry. So I would say, one thing that is important for like a first year student to do is go and try and communicate with people that you don't know. Everyone's coming into college, especially freshmen, and like a lot of people don't know each other. I'd say most people don't know each other. So try and make friends, try and meet people in your major, try and meet people that are in these extracurricular activities that you're interested in, right? Say you go to the marketing association, try and meet someone there. Say you join a professional business fraternity, try and meet someone there. A club sport, same thing. Just try and talk to people, because no matter where you are in business, talking to people is something that's universally valued as a skill. So I would just think about that a lot and try and practice that as much as you can.
Yeah, I love that advice. I think that's really, really good. And one thing that I'll add is that it's super valuable to step out of your comfort zone. I think the best place to grow is outside your comfort zone. And so one way that this could be very applicable to, SOM is go to events that you think, that if you're even the slightest bit interested in something, I would show up to the event. And if it's a networking event, maybe just try to talk to someone, or if it's, a seminar type thing, just sit in and try to learn as much as you can. And I think that's a good way to expose yourself to new opportunities, new people, and maybe even explore some hidden passion that you didn't even know you had. And then maybe you could turn that into a career.
Yeah, so we mentioned the Career Center. Kind of outside of the Career Center, what are ways that SOM was most helpful in preparing you for a career after college?
I could take this one first. I think one thing that we might not have necessarily mentioned yet, but might be implied, it's important to mention this. Outside of my classes, or even outside of like the School of Management physically, like here at Binghamton, not only are there upperclassmen that are really willing to help you and volunteer their time, but there's a really, really great and strong alumni network. People that have graduated from Binghamton that are, willing to have a 30-minute phone call with you after just looking at your resume, or if you send them a nice email and you've never met them in person, they might sit down with you for, an hour on Zoom and just talk about their career, talk about their life. And that was a really good tool that I was able to use to learn about all these sort of careers after college, especially in finance. Finance it's one vertical of business, but there's so many different things within it. I had no idea which one I wanted to pick or pursue. And I spoke with so many alumni that were excited or interested in talking with me, in their own free time. And they didn't have to do that, but they were willing to kind of be a resource to me and allow me to learn about their career. And that eventually, helped me decide on what sort of internships and ultimately, full-time job opportunities I wanted to pursue.
All right. So my last question is, what would you say is one of your top tips for college success?
I'll answer this one. I'll keep it short. Just, do what makes you happy. Don't try and like fit into a certain like path because someone that is doing that. And you're like, well, if they're doing that, I have to do that. Keep looking for what works for you. Don't just take advantage of the first opportunity. Obviously, opportunities are great, but it's really important to take this time during college. Like you could be majoring in business and then start to have your doubts, switch your major. You know what I mean? Like obviously take everything else into consideration when doing that, but don't feel locked into a certain thing that you're doing just because it's easier or it's what you thought you wanted. Really go for what it is that you want, and don't let, and it sounds corny, but don't let anything hold you back from that, because it's going to make it a lot easier when it's what you want to do.
I could go ahead if I haven't said it enough. Be organized and manage your time wisely. And just echoing one last thing, get involved. I mean, we've said it time and time again here. Get involved with what you like, what makes you happy. And, when you do get involved, it's your choice. You have the option of whether you want to stay involved with that program or not. No one's forcing you. No one's going to hold your hand across the way. It's all up to you. You choose what you want to do, and you make yourself what you want to make.
I'll add on and maybe try and keep like a short thing that you guys can remember and then elaborate on it a little bit. I would say be involved, like everyone else has said, but also be curious, or try new things. I think it's important. The lights keep going off, but I think it's important to just get into college and come with an open mind and try a whole bunch of things. I'm involved with things that are outside of SOM as well. I know other people are, and I'm not involved with them just for my career, for this or that. It's because I like making friends, and I like, for example, I love snowboarding, so I'm really involved with the snowboarding club here, right? And it's just something that I enjoy doing. So I think success, one thing that's pretty widely considered to be successful is just being happy, and do things that make you happy. Make sure that your mental health, your physical health are prioritized, and just go out of your comfort zone and try those things that, at college, no one's really going to judge you for what you're doing. And if they do, who cares? Everyone's just trying to do their best and be happy. And as long as you kind of do that, be involved and try new things, you should be a successful college student.
I really like that. And I'm just going to add two quick things. The first thing I want to say is don't sweat the small stuff. So if you miss out on an opportunity, or you have a failure early on in a club that you tried out for, or maybe an e-board position that you interviewed for, don't sweat it, and just use that use that emotion to translate into the next opportunity and get after that next one. Don't dwell on your failures, just focus on what's in front of you. And the last thing I'm going to say is, when you are successful and when you have kind of climbed that ladder to wherever you're trying to get, even if it's like small, whether you're getting a club position, or big as in you just got yourself a job, always turn around and kind of help the next person up the ladder, just like I'm sure someone helped you to get to that position.
All great advice. So now we're going to open it up to more questions. If anybody just wants to unmute yourself and ask your question, or throw it in the chat, now's your opportunity to do so.
What inspired you to become working in business?
I can answer that one. For myself personally, most of high school wanted to do something science related, something in the medical field, and then realized that I get really squeamish over that stuff. So I kind of talked to a lot of my teachers at school and kind of pick their brains. I also have a minor in education, so that's something that I'm considering one day as well. But I think going into business, I kind of thought to myself, I think that working in a collaborative environment would be fun. I think that I am someone who I like to talk to people, and I like to, problem solve. So it felt like business was the right decision. And then it was once I got to Binghamton, I was better able to figure out what career within business I wanted to do, just by, like we've mentioned probably a million times, just by getting involved and whatnot. But good question.
Does anybody else want to jump in? If not, I could just move to the next question that we have. Okay. Oh.
What inspired me to do business? I think, like Kiki said, a lot of business is working with a team and speaking with other people. That was something I always valued. I was considering, law or medicine or whatnot, but I think kind of speaking with other people and, being social was something that I really liked about business. And also just being able to be like kind of self-made. You can like basically earn whatever opportunity, comes to you, and or you can maybe start your own business one day. And I love just generally like, following the news or reading up about stuff that was, new and interesting, the Wall Street Journal or whatnot. Everyone says that, but I just thought it was pretty fascinating when I was in high school.
So what is the workload for business classes and how does it compare to other majors?
I can answer this question again. I actually talk about this a lot with some of my friends. So comparatively, I would say that the business workload is very light compared to other majors, specifically sciences or engineering or other things like that. The classes aren't easy, but it's definitely lighter. Maybe it's not, maybe the tests aren't as huge or maybe the assignments aren't as big. But I think what really differentiates business is you can make it as hard as you want to be. And you can kind of scale that level of difficulty or time commitment or whatnot with your extracurricular involvements. So you can get involved in competitions, after classes are over. You could join clubs, you could do an internship, you can do so many sort of things. And I feel like the reason that SOM comparatively doesn't have as much of a strenuous course load, especially at the lower levels, is it allows you the opportunity to sort of try things outside of the classroom with real world applications. And that was actually something that also drew me to business.
Yeah, I'll just chime in one other thing for that question. In SOM, you can concentrate in different things like finance or MIS or leadership consulting. And so while the course load might not be huge for each particular concentration, if your schedule like allots for it, I would recommend doing more than one concentration and maybe even a minor because it'll help to diversify yourself and it'll kind of give you an edge over other people who might just like go down a single avenue, do one concentration, and then take 12 credits for like 3 semesters or something like that.
Like just one thing I want to add, just because I feel like we're on the topic of, being happy and getting ourselves involved in things that we like. Just because you are in the School of Management definitely does not mean or pigeonhole you to have to minor in something that's business related. So for me, for example, I'm doing Spanish. Language really fascinates me. I really like it. It's what makes me happy. A lot of people that I know, they're doing only business minors or concentrations. If that makes them happy, that's what it is. But don't feel like you have to necessarily concentrate in anything within business. You can double major, you can minor in something outside, do whatever you like, do what you find interesting.
Yeah, kind of speaking to that, the next question, how did you know what area of business you wanted to pursue?
Just trying out new things, just going to those clubs, like we've been saying the whole time. I'm not very good at accounting. Accounting is very widely used in finance, and I know all the basics. And my dad had always told me, be an accountant, you'll always have a job, this and that. I found out that I really didn't want to take, be an accountant after I did really poorly in my accounting classes. Did not come super easily to me. And I kind of just got to like eliminate that career choice based off of that, obviously my grades like not being super great, but also like just honestly my lack of interest. So I would just say, like I said, try new things. I'm not going to just elaborate on that, say it 50 more times, but it's important.
Yeah, and with that, I agree, like same points we've been making, but even if, that stuff doesn't come as easy, or even while you're doing that, you feel like you're not kind of getting a grasp on what that avenue of business you want to do is. One nice thing about SOM is that before like selecting a concentration or before getting to take classes towards your concentration, you have to take all of these intro level courses across finance, marketing, management, basically every concentration that we offer, you have to take the intro level course for it. So it's nice because you get a little bit of a taste of it before deciding that that's what you want to do.
Oh, Scott, did you have something?
I was just going to say that for me, I just did accounting just because I feel like I'm very numbers oriented. I'm not sure if any of you guys that are looking into what you want to do feel like you're numbers oriented. Maybe accounting's the right path. Personally, I'm not gonna say that I like accounting. I don't think anyone really likes accounting, but for me personally, why I wanted to do it was because I feel like there are a lot of opportunities that you can get by being a major in accounting. So it's not necessarily being an auditor or doing tax your whole life. There are a lot more opportunities, like perhaps forensic consulting or like looking into numbers, looking at financial statements of companies and trying to find out where the discrepancies exist, maybe finding fraud. There's a lot more than just what it sounds like. Everything's a lot more broad than it seems, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I'll just chime in once more. The clubs at Binghamton are great, and especially in SOM, I think there's pretty much a club that's devoted to each concentration. There's accounting, there's Beam for like marketing, and there's Finance Society, and so that's like another excellent way to learn about a concentration outside of the actual classroom.
So we're closing out on the hour here. I don't see any more questions in the chat.
I have a quick question.
Yep, go for it.
If you didn't take business, what would you have majored in?
I probably would have done education, which I am doing, but probably would have the way, if you're interested in education at Binghamton, is that you would do the minor and then you would major in, say, if you wanted to become like a history teacher, I'd be a history major with a minor in education. So I think I probably would have done something that route.
I would just say most of us had the opportunity to sort of major in whatever we wanted to. So, I really honestly at this point don't have any regrets with picking a business major. Maybe I would have done something else that could have helped me in the world of business. I think that saying, a finance degree or finance major isn't the only thing that finance jobs are hiring for. Like maybe I would have done math or engineering or something else, but these employers are looking for people with like not broad, but like different skill sets. And some smart people that I know, did business and something else like education or Spanish or math or comp sci. And, it just helps them gain more skills that are relevant to like the business world. But, for me, I was very happy with my business major and I don't think I would change it to anything.
If I didn't pursue business, I'd say that I probably would have looked into like becoming a lawyer or something like that. And there's a business class, business of law, which is BLS 111 in SOM. A super interesting class, applies business and law together, and you can kind of explore the applications of that. But yeah, I'm very happy with the decision to do business though.
I probably would have done Spanish all in. I don't know. The only reason that I didn't, not the only reason, but a reason that I didn't was because I don't know how many opportunities there are with just Spanish. I feel like being an accounting major and having a minor in Spanish and having that ability to communicate in that second language would help me within the business world. So I feel like it's a supplement for me personally.
Are there any last minute questions? All right, looks like there aren't. Well, thank you so much to all of our panelists. We really appreciate you taking the time and just providing your advice, your experience to everyone. And hopefully this provided some insight on what it's like to experience SOM firsthand as a student. So thanks again.
Oh, I was just going to say, speaking for all the panelists, I'm sure they all agree. If anyone ever has any more questions, like after today, or need to reach out for anything Binghamton related, I don't mind if you give out my email if they want to reach out, because I know college applications are really stressful. So just want to put that out there.
Thanks, definitely. Yeah, I wasn't going to put that out there myself, so I appreciate it.
Same. Please, I'd be happy to help anybody who needs the guidance.
Yep, reach out to me whenever.
Ditto.
Okay, great. Well, thanks everybody. I hope you have a good rest of your day. And I'll see you all later.